Hey guys, I'm James and welcome to another episode of Rubicon Unlimited. Today we're going to do a simple one. We're going to talk about our diff covers. Now, this is our stock Dana 44 diff cover. It does the trick. It covers up our gears, but one thing you got to worry about is these guys getting smashed up or peeled back on the trail. If you're hitting the rocks, this is a simple thing you should be upgrading because, yeah, that's a bit of a sensitive part. It hangs the lowest. So you're going to want to take care of it. So let's go over the benefits of maybe upgrading this thing to something a little beefier and take a look at what I went with. Okay, so if I grab the measuring tape and just quickly look at this thing, we can see that it's roughly 4 millimeters thick. Now that does the trick if you're just driving around on the streets. You know, you don't have to worry about any impacts on this thing. But once you start hitting the rocks and, you know, this thing takes an impact, which it probably will, eventually you might get a leak. And, you know, your diff needs oil in it. You need gear oil to keep that thing running and your gears from staying safe, because you don't want to chip a gear. You don't want to overheat the thing. Mine's a Rubicon, so, you know, we've got the electronic locker in there. Let's just keep that thing healthy. And an investment of a couple $100, you can have a pretty decent diff cover. So I went with the G2 aluminum hammered diff cover. It's gonna add the beef. It'll take an impact, it'll be a lot stronger, it's a lot thicker. I didn't install it right away. Let me be honest here, it took a while because if you look at the design of it, it's got all these fins on it, and I was worried that with my stock track bar, it might come into contact. I reached out to them, they said it would be fine. Even with, you know, my leveling kit, which isn't big of a lift, they said, yeah, it'll clear. So as you guys know, I went to Utah, did some trails there, and I wanted to make sure that I swapped out my stock diff cover for something a little stronger. So I took the risk and I installed it. But guess what? No, it didn't clear. It definitely impacted. It took a few hits of the track bar. And let me just show you what that looks like. So as you can see, one of the fins got a little mashed up. But lucky for me, after a few hits, it kind of worked itself in. It filed off that one fin and it was clearing now. So one suggestion I can make for you guys, if you go with the same diff cover as mine, you're gonna wanna just get in there with a Dremel or, you know, any kind of grinder and just make that little notch. It'll save you some headache, you won't hear it impacting, you won't get stressed out, all will be good. So the aluminum diff cover, they claim it will run cooler, it holds the same amount of fluid. Unfortunately, the fill plug there isn't in the stock location. So typically when you fill these things, you just add the gear oil in until it runs out of the fill hole. But because that one isn't in the appropriate location, you're gonna need to make sure you measure your fluid. You're gonna wanna make sure that you're putting the right amount in. And I know the front takes a little bit less because of where the seals are. In the rear, you add a little bit more. But again, you can look online and find what your specs are depending on if you have Dana 44 like myself, or if you have a Sahara with the Dana 30 in the front. Now you might think that you might just need to upgrade the front one because, you know, as you're going over rocks, you might impact front on into an obstacle. But you gotta make sure to do your rear as well, because you gotta think about how this works here. If you're driving over a rock and one hits the rear, the pumpkin in the rear, what could happen is it could catch the edge of your diff cover and peel it back. So what would happen if that were to occur is your oil is going to start to drip out of that section that peeled back. And of course, just like the front, you got to keep the gear oil in. So when you're doing this upgrade, do the front and the rear, change out your fluids. And I went with a Lubelocker gasket instead of the typical RTV sealant. And what that is good for is a little bit less of mess if you ever have to get back into your axle. And yeah, it's super simple to install. It's just yeah, just a gasket. Put it on, bolt it up, good to go. All right, guys, I know this was a quick one, but I want to bring you guys up to speed with that diff cover and specifically what you might have to do to get it running on your Jeep if you're kind of in a stock setup with the track bar and height. I'm gonna leave a link in the description in case you want to pick this specific diff cover up. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if there was a better diff cover that I should have gone with. I'm sure you guys have your own preferences out there. Leave a comment below on that, and we'll see you in the next one. See you guys later.